My name is Greg. I am the regional sales manager for Central and West. So basically everything west of the Mississippi to include Illinois and Wisconsin. On the call with me today is Dave Gordon. He is your regional sales manager for everything east of the Mississippi River. Dave, you want to say hi?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I know these are difficult times, but we're trying to figure out the best way to get the word out on Rosslare, and any way we can help you guys. We're certainly here to support you, help you with system design. Larry's on here should you have technical issues or technical questions as well. We're here to support you any way we can. Just feel free to contact us. There's no real set hours to do it. Shoot me a text. My cell, like I said before, I'll periodically throw it up in the chat as well. My cell and email. So should you have any questions or request a demo once these travel restrictions are lifted, Greg and I'll both be back out on the road again, stopping in and see you guys.
And that'll be awesome. And as Larry mentioned, or as Dave mentioned, Larry's on the phone with us. Larry, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Larry Barnes. I'm Chief Cook and Bottle Washer and Technical Support Manager in South Lake. So give us a call. What we're doing right now to cope with COVID is Dusk and I are working from home. So I've got all calls routed to voicemail, but we're trying to get back to you as quickly as we can. Usually that's in a few minutes, but if we get bogged down, it may be a little longer. But please feel free to give us a call, not only for tech support, but if you have questions about system configuration or anything like that, we'll be happy to help you. So.
Very good. So let's get started. On our screen here, I've got our AxTraxNG website, and this is a site that supplements our RosslareSecurity.com. If you go to if you see our email address, it's at RosslareSecurity.com. That is our global website, and it is what it is, just like everybody else that has. If you have a website that helps everyone, sometimes it helps no one. So Larry and they're in South Lake put together this AxTraxNG.com website, which is very helpful, particularly for you guys, the installers and the technical folks. In here, you've got videos, you've got guides, manuals, our catalog, and it's recently updated with information to include our knowledge base and our YouTube channel, and I'll go through both those here shortly. Larry will put in technical bulletins or updates like what he's got here, the changes due to COVID, and then also ordering product. He has I really should let you talk about this, Larry, since it's your site.
Oh, you're doing fine. But basically, it's a portal I put together to make something that we could grab files and information quickly. So on the main page, as you see, you can always grab the latest version of software. If you grab it from here, it's a zip file that I've included not only the software, but I've got some other guides and stuff. There's one just on how to install the software, just to answer simple questions. What do I install? How do I install it? Walks you through it. And as well as other documentation like the release notes and such. So if you download it from here, you're getting a few other goodies in with the file when you download it. And again, try to keep this website simple. If you scroll back up there, Greg, at the top, very top, you'll see some other links, videos and guides. Some of those videos are getting a little old, but there's also some PDF guides, manuals. If you jump into that gets you into all of the manuals for our products. The top ones are here on these hot keys, hot buttons as I call them. Or if you come down to browse, you can browse through all the manuals I have on file. So yeah, you need good glasses for that one. Close that tab. Okay. Go back to the main. There you go. And then likewise, we don't have to go into all of them, but I've got a list of distributors. It's just a PDF file where you can look up by city or state, then city, see who's a distributor in your area. This link here, the YouTube channel is something Greg's actually put together for us, and we're recording these sessions online and posting them up there. So if you want to watch them again later or recommend them to somebody else, you can. The knowledge base is actually run out of Israel. And go ahead and click on that real quick, if you would, Greg. So this is a classic, knowledge base that Mickey has put together over in Israel. And as you can see, there's several of the the top articles are listed right here, but you can also drill down. And we're adding to that, I won't say on a daily basis, but frequently. And it answers a lot of your questions and explains things, basically.
I have no idea. I don't know where he put it.
Where's Ron?
He's in a meeting in the lunchroom.
All right. Go ahead back to the main screen there, please, Greg. There we go. Scroll on down to the bottom, I guess, at this point, just real quick. There's some other configuration utilities and stuff down here. I'm not going to go into all of that. But bottom line, what I wanted to show you is at the bottom of the screen here is always our contact information. Tech support, that email comes directly to just tech support. So myself, Dusk, and Jonathan all get that email. That goes to the sales email, and that's monitored by multiple people. And then Greg's other project here, our Facebook page, which I'll let him talk about when he's ready. But there's just a link to it to make it easy. So that's all there is on the AxTraxNG.
So guys,
I'd like to add to this that as Larry noted, your most recent software release is on here, and because our products, our panels are built in China, there may be a new software release while your panel was en route from the factory to your distributor, from your distributor to your shelf. So it's important to note that you're going to always have the latest software version available on this page.
So this is a website I'd highly recommend bookmarking it. You will utilize this in the field along with your knowledge base. So make sure you have that available as well. Talked about the knowledge base. I'd love to see you participate in our Facebook group. If you are one who Facebooks, just check us out. Just type in Rosslare. There are several different Rosslares. We're the Rosslare North America. That's the one you want to join. But we've got different tech tips and videos. For example, our counterparts in India just put together a nice video on elevator access control. We have different items. We do every Thursday at 2, we do a Facebook Live where we'll drill down into a particular subject, maybe talk about user programming or Bluetooth readers or any number of items that we'll go through. But I'd love to see you participate here at our Facebook group. And then finally, our YouTube channel is brand new. Love to have you connect with us there, subscribe. Certainly, once we hit 100 subscribers, by the way, we can get a real name. But up until then, we've got this gobbledygook up here. So just search us out, Rosslare Security Products North America, and hit the like and subscribe button. Promise we won't blow you up with all kinds of irrelevant data. It'd be, Lord willing, all good stuff. So certainly appreciate your participation there. Any questions before we get started? If not, then give me just a second and I'll switch over to our presentation here.
What was the link for the website?
The AxTraxNG, that's the name of our software. So it's AxTraxNG.com.
I did put it in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
David's quicker than I am. I didn't even think about that.
All righty, for some reason I have lost the presentation. Where did it go? I made a couple last minute modifications and moved it. So bear with me.
Larry, you want to sing while we're waiting?
Yeah,
No, you don't want that. You wanted to keep people on the on here, not get rid of them.
Larry, give me some tech tip of the week while I get this switched over here. I apologize.
What I will say is tech support, like I said, it's based here in South Lake, Texas, and there's 3 of us in the office. So now, right now, we're covering it 8 to 5. There you go, Monday through Friday, via email. But you're always calling here stateside. It's not going somewhere else, and we'll do our best to help you out with it with any problem.
And keep in mind, obviously, that's Central Time, the 8 to 5.
Yes, that causes some friction some days.
It doesn't.
Yeah, that is Central Time, and I mean, we don't close for lunch or anything like that. It is 8 to 5 all day, but it is Central Time.
All righty, well, let's get started here. So as I already introduced myself, my name is Greg. Let's get past that. As Dave mentioned earlier, we're an Israeli-based company. The sun truly never sets on Rosslare. We have a worldwide presence. Our North American headquarters is just outside of Dallas. In fact, it's nestled between Dallas and Fort Worth in a town called South Lake. That's where Larry and his team typically office out of. I'm in Austin, and Dave's in Pittsburgh. But we have offices across the globe: Colombia, Argentina, India, big presence in India, Hong Kong, several throughout China, and then some of the Pacific countries as well. We've been in the access control business since the 80s. We've been in the US since the 80s. We specialize in access control. We also have a couple other product lines. We'll talk about it momentarily. But again, our primary market is commercial entities, government institutions, educational facilities. We do a lot of multifamily here in the US and North America, along with public and private business. Access control is our core business, but we also have a couple other products that we're involved in. We have a garden patrol product where the security officer, as he makes his rounds, can check in with a little fob that will record the time and date stamp and location stamp as to where they are as they walk through their facility. So you have some kind of way of verifying that they are where they're supposed to be at the particular time. And then we also have a rechargeables division that Dave and I don't get into a whole lot, but there is a Rosslare North America that's involved in making batteries as well.
Guys, that guard patrol, Greg, could you back it up a second? Mm-hmm. That guard patrol is an excellent source for additional revenue. It's a very affordable product. It's very easy to operate, and if you're doing any type of work in any facilities where they have guard services, you certainly have an opportunity to take them in a new direction and give them a little bit more control over their guard services, especially companies that use in-house. When they some of your larger plants and factories will use in-house security. If you have an opportunity to have a discussion with them, I have some information I can forward to you, and Greg does as well, regarding the guard patrol. And once again, it's an upsell, and it's additional revenues for you just to go ahead and meet your customers' needs.
That's exactly right. Did we put a video on that on our Facebook group not too long ago? Seems like we had a video on that. If not, we can get one.
We'll get one on there, yeah.
Yeah. Dave, do you want to talk about private labeling and OEM stuff?
So as Greg had mentioned, Rosslare is a true manufacturer. It's a family-owned business. What a lot of people don't realize is a lot of the big names you see to the right there come to Rosslare to build their products. It was funny, I was doing a show over in Philadelphia for an Anixter event, and Bosch had set up next to me, and their Bosch display was all Rosslare readers. And it was and I had almost a similar display with our readers on it. So the real discussion was who builds them for who. Rosslare does indeed build the readers for Bosch. We build readers for HID. We build products for Siemens, GE, and Honeywell. Our AYK12C mini prox reader is Honeywell's OmniProx, and it's our biggest selling reader, and it's built by Rosslare. Additionally, you're going to see a lot of other products as Greg goes through the presentation here of different products that we build for Honeywell and that you've seen in the field with different names on them, and you'll be able to identify with those when you see them as a Rosslare reader. It is our own facility. We have our own injection facility. We can private label depending on the order size. Everything's based on numbers, but we can offer that ability to you as well as to have your company name on the reader itself, which is pretty impressive to sell on your own. So, let us know if we can help in any way. These presentations are available to you guys as well after we're done. If you need a copy of it or information from it, please reach out to us. Let us know.
Yeah, I always like to tell people that, two things really you can get out of this is, number one, we tend to play nice with everybody. So as much as Dave and I would love to see a closed ecosystem with just Rosslare readers on Rosslare controllers, the reality is we tend to play nice with other manufacturers. So you'll see our readers on other controllers and our controllers with other readers. Two, our competitors trust our build quality enough to have us build for them. So ultimately at the end of the day, that's nice when your competitors ask you to put together a product that they're going to resell.
A lot of people are surprised too when they see that HID, because HID makes a big deal out of it. They build their own readers. We don't build all of their readers by far, but we certainly build several readers for HID. So we are indeed, for that quality, we are there.
So here's a screenshot of the facilities throughout the globe that has Rosslare systems in there currently. Everything from the National Stadium there in China to University of Texas, El Paso, and literally all points in between. Fact is, Larry, you got some thoughts on this, on a Turkey installation as well. Some information on that as well, I believe, don't you?
Sorry, I had myself muted. Yeah, the Turkey installation, the Justice Palace there, I believe that's something on the order of 3,000 doors. It's all AC 825s. It's all managed their own site, obviously, and that's been running for a number of years now. It is a major install there in Turkey. So
gives you an idea of the scope of the facilities you can grow with. Dave, you want to walk us through the controllers?
Yeah, so we have 4 main controllers that we have with Rosslare. We have the basic, what I call the down and dirty, is the AC215. It's a 2-door out of the box panel. It's not expandable, so keep that in mind. If you're looking to upsell a customer, you're going to have difficulty with the 215. It's always important to be in a position to upgrade them, to add additional doors. I myself come out of the integration side. I don't think I've ever been on a job where we've done an installation and the customer says, you know what, we didn't even think about this door, so let's add that door to it as well. I think if you're in the installation side, you've seen that one way or another over the years, whether it's cameras, whether it's intrusion, or whether it's access control. They don't really, see the whole scope until you're installing it, and then they want to add stuff to it. So keeping that in mind, the AC215 is a 2-door panel out of the box, has the capability of 30,000 users, unlimited access groups, an event up to 20,000 events. But once again, maximum readers are 2. The next panel up was probably our most popular and is probably our #1 seller, is the AC225 IP. This is a great panel. It's 2 doors out of the box. You simply add a daughter board or expansion board to it, the MDDO2, and you're taking it to 4 doors. Once again, 30,000 max number of users, unlimited access groups, and 20,000 events. But once again, you can take it up to 4 doors versus the 2 doors. This is an IP panel. It's networkable. The next panel is a big seller as well, is the AC425. That's 4 doors out of the box. Once again, similar stats as far as users and events. The nice thing about this is you can indeed take this to 8 doors by simply installing an MDDO4 on the motherboard, and takes it to 8 doors. And finally is what we call our workhorse panel, and our panel that is fully expandable. can take it beyond the 8 doors out of the box. The AC215 is a 4-door panel out of the box. By adding in a D805, you can take it to 8 doors out of the box. The thing to remember is you have 100 up to 100,000 number of users, unlimited access groups, and 500,000 events. One of the things I do want to touch about on all 4 of our panels is we have onboard lock power. Greg, if I'm getting ahead of myself on your slides, let me know, but we can do up to 2 amps of lock power out of any one of our cabinets. So that is a nice advantage. You know, a 1,200-pound mag lock at peak's drawing about a 1/2 amp. So to do a strike or do a 1,200-pound mag lock right out of the panel itself saves you on cost, on your upfront equipment costs, and allows you to be more competitive in your bids.
Exactly right. And here are the pictures of our core panels, the 215, 225, and 425. And I'll show you the 825 here momentarily. But if you haven't seen our B series controllers, this is what the new B series controllers look like. We've got the lighted taskbar, and that's what you see up here across the top. It's got a tamper switch built in, but as soon as you open up that door, there's a little LED light that lights out. This is actually on a cable, so you can remove it and use it like a wand, a flashlight wand, to be able to see what all's going on. The knockouts have been pre-knocked out and put in with plastic plugs there that you can strap down your wires, so you've got a lot of wire management options there. Your network interface is a lot easier to get to, nice clean look. You've got a carriage for hold up to a 12 amp or 12/7
amp
batteries.
hour, 12 volt.
That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to say. And then, as Dave mentioned earlier, the onboard power supply, it's a 4 amp power supply, but 2 amps are segmented to power your lock. So you have 2 amps that power your controller and readers, 2 amps available to power your locks. And that's for the 215, the 225, and the 425. And all our controllers come in the enclosure, but you have the DIN rail option as well, so you can order just the board alone and mount it by itself on a DIN rail.
And keeping in mind on that, all of the panels also have a wiring diagram right on the inside of the cabinet door, so it makes it very, very nice for wiring. You have that light that's built in, so even if you're in a dark IT closet, it's very easy to read the wiring diagram on the doors.
Right. And I'll let Larry go into a little detail on this. I've got on here I've got on here engineer specs. So this is what the engineers tell us, but Larry's got some real life examples that he can share as well.
Yeah, I mean, the maximum capacity on the AxTraxNG system is 1,000 or 1023 controllers. And with the legacy panels, meaning the 215, 225, 425, you can have up to 32, theoretically, on a daisy chain, on an RS-485 bus. So off of each IP address, you could theoretically have 32. I really don't recommend doing that, especially with, you know, LAN connectivity, what it is nowadays. I always recommend, keeping that down 6, 8 max on a single RS-485. If you've got to do that, don't go over about 8 panels per chain. You can still have your 1,000 controllers. It's just you need a few more IP addresses to spread them across. Typically, what I'm finding these days is most people will put in an IP panel everywhere. If they need to expand right there and can't do it in the panel, they'll daisy chain 1 panel, 1 or 2 off of it. And that makes for just a smoother operation in general, especially when you're doing updates and things of that nature. It's transparent to the end user. So if we have 1,000 panels at different IP addresses versus a bunch of them on a chain, all that is transparent to the end user. Once it's configured, it just acts as one large system. So, also the length of the bus. On the RS-485, we don't recommend going over 2,000 feet total from start to finish on each bus. And if you're going to do that, we need to make sure you're using the right cabling and it's wired correctly, and probably going to want, well, definitely going to want to put termination resistors in and some things like that. If you have any questions about that kind of stuff, that's when, give us a call up front so you're prepared, rather than calling me after the fact and saying, well, I ran 18 gauge, 18.2 and I'm trying to run the RS-485 over it and it's not working. Yeah, it won't. So, all right. Back to you, Greg.
All right, thank you. So as Dave mentioned earlier, the 215, the 225, and the 425 all have similar specs. We'll drill down a little bit more specifically on the individual controllers, but I won't bore you with a lot of the stuff that we already talked about. Key item with the 215 is it's a two-door non-expandable controller. For example, you can't add a expansion module in there to increase it. Now you can have, as Larry mentioned, multiple 215s on a network. In fact, some folks do that. They just like to have use the 215 as an edge controller and just control two doors, and then have multiple 215s throughout the facility. Completely fine with that, but you can't put in an expansion module inside the enclosure to expand it. But it's got two readers, up to 2 readers, 2 Rex inputs, 2 auxiliary door inputs, and 2 auxiliary outputs. And like all of our controllers, the power supply is included. The 225, very similar as far as looking at it, aesthetically. The main difference is you have the ability to install an expansion module that mounts right here. So again, keeping with that clean installation, you don't have to mount it separately out off to the side. You remove this little decal and it mounts directly on top of the motherboard there for a nice clean install. So it'll take your 2-door controller up to a 4-door controller. This is actually our #1 selling controller because it is so expandable, and it's very cost effective. Again, some folks will install this throughout the facility as an edge, or bring everything back to a head end or IT closet. The MDDO2 is the expansion module, and you can see how it looks aesthetically and blends right in. So again, it mounts right here. You just remove that decal, and the MDDO2 mounts directly on there and blends right in. Not that the customer is going to be looking at it, but you want to leave with a nice clean look, and it provides that.
Can I jump in there for just a moment? Go back to the MDDO2 there. One thing that's happening, I've run into several times just in this last week. If you have one of the older AC225 panels, not the non-B version, you buy the MDDO2. If you're trying to expand one of the new B series panels, the black ones, then you must use the MDDO2B. And the standard one will not work on the new panels. There are some minor changes internally. So just be warned, if you're upgrading a 225B, you need to get an MDDO2B. Same for the 425, which you'll talk about here in just a minute. They've got to match up, so be sure you order the right expander module. So,
great point. And just so you know, you can put B series and A series on the same network. You want to have the latest version of the firmware, but if you already have some existing A series controllers and you want to expand it with an additional controller, you can put a B series controller out there, but the expansion modules have to match the controller. So as Larry said, the B series controllers require the B series expansion modules, and A series with the A series. The 425 is going to be, again, very similar to the 215 and the 225, with the exception of it'll do up to 4 readers out of the box. Now, we did have to make some concessions just simply because we ran out of space on the controller, so there are no auxiliary inputs or outputs on the 425 controller. But outside of that, 30,000 users, 20,000 events, 4 readers out of the box, expandable to 8 readers. And there is an expandable input-output module as well, and I'll show you that here momentarily. This is the expansion board to give you an extra 4 readers to go up to 8 on the 425. And again, it mounts directly. You remove this decal and it mounts directly on top of the controller. And then we have a input output expansion module here. So if you need additional inputs or outputs, you can use this. You can either use the MDDO4B or the MDIO84B, either or. You can't use both at the same time. There's only room for one expansion module on the 425. Is there any questions on what we've covered so far? I know we've covered a lot, and we're fixing to jump into 825. Dave's going to run us through that, but anybody have any questions so far? Feel free to use the chat.
Guys, keep in mind on the B panels, if you're installing the B panels on a legacy existing system, you do need to update the software to 27.5 or newer. The old software that was running on there will have to be updated. So, of course, that means backing up your database, et cetera. But yes, you need to definitely update the software in order to have the B panels working on the network the same with the A or the legacy panels.
So here's a picture of the 825 and the expansion modules, and that's what we got a question to see. Paul says, on these important notes that you're mentioning, will there be a link on your site that lists the most important notes that should be read? Well, Paul, we'll have a copy of this video on our YouTube channel, so you can reference that. If you'd like a copy of the presentation, the actual PowerPoint, get with Dave or myself, and we can send that to you as well. And if you'd like to do a one-on-one call, we'd be glad to do, to work with you individually as well, whatever we can do to help you. That's what Dave and I do. Normally we help you with the design and build, so as you run across those questions, and then we pull Larry in as needed. Did that answer your question, Paul? Great, thank you. So Dave, you want to run us through the 825
Sure. So the 825 is our big panel we refer to. It's the panel that's going to take you towards the enterprise level. It is 8 doors out of the box, expandable to 4 doors. The 825 also has 4 expansion modules. This is the panel you're going to be using if you're going into elevator control. You can't hear him. Anybody else having a problem hearing me? I see a note from Scott here.
I hear you okay.
Anybody else not hearing me?
I hear you.
Okay, great. So, like I said, the 825 is your large panel. Our big panel, it's going to be the one that's going to be expandable, and it has a very, very neat way of expanding. One thing about the 825 is the expandability aspect of it actually reduces your cost compared to the competition. And we'll explain that to you here in a minute. But like we said before, you can use up to 100,000 users on this, up to 500,000 events logged. You have 4 doors out of the box with 2 inputs and 1 output. You have 4 auxiliary inputs and 2 auxiliary outputs, and up to 2 amps or 13.8 volts DC available to power your locks. This is DC for the panels. So keeping that in mind, of course, most hardware today is dual voltage, so it should not be an issue. As I noted before, you have 4 different types of expansion. If you look across the bottom there, the R805 is going to be your expansion you'll use for elevators. One of the big questions that I get, and we don't have a slide in here regarding our elevator control, but you do need to put 1 825 per elevator bank with 1 R805. Larry, am I correct on that, just to make sure? Larry? Anyway.
Sorry, I had myself muted so I didn't make any obscene noises in the background. Yeah, you're right. You've got to have a controller, an 825 per elevator or per car, however you want to term it. And then you can use as many R805s off of that one as you need, but only for that elevator. So if you've got 32 floors that you're trying to control, you need an 825 and two R805s. We'll talk about how to do that later. And then if you've got 4 elevators, you'd need 4 825s each with 2 R805s.
And keeping in mind also, it's not the panel does not have to be just for your elevator control. You still can utilize the doors on it as well. So if you
right, you can use those other readers to control other doors that are within reach. They're not totally wasted, but you can't have multiple elevators controlled off a single panel. It's just the way the software works. So.
Yeah, the next panel, Greg, or next slide.
Yep.
So once again, we talked about the expansions. The thing to remember here is what you're seeing in the picture. This is the ME1515. Now this is a 2 expansion cabinet. So through the RS485, you're gonna connect and we have a very nice diagram that really explains this simply as to how to add this expansion cabinet. This is where I was talking about your cost actually going down as the system grows versus the competition. Because once you buy the 825 and you add the ME1515, then you add the appropriate expansion boards, whether, like Larry said, you're using an R805 or you're using your D805 and you're expanding it to 8 doors to 16 doors to 24 doors on up. So what makes this a very affordable solution is, once again, each one of these panels also has the lock power built in. But the cost is less than half of what if you had to buy another motherboard. If you took this, for instance, a Paxton, if you take a Paxton beyond its 2-door capability, you have to add yet another motherboard. Well, that's a very cost prohibitive way of doing things. With us, you're just simply adding an expansion board. That's all the good part of it. The bad part of it is all of these expansions are indeed downstream from your motherboard. So should you lose network on your motherboard, you will lose the data on down the line. Anybody have any questions on that?
And I would like to add on there, you don't have to have your expansion boards there at the controller too. So you can have the expansion boards on the 485 bus throughout the facility. So
that's correct.
That'll save you some wire run as well. So again, utilizing the edge aspect of it. So if you have as long as you don't exceed the 2,000 feet.
And I think we have, I think in the next coming slides here, we do have some pictures. Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
So here's an 825. If you look on the bottom, you're seeing an 825, and then you're seeing 2 ME1515s next to it. And once again, you're looking at a 24 door solution right now, just by this setup, right, for a lot less money than it would be if you went with a Carry or a Honeywell or a Paxton type system. Your cost as it grows actually goes down.
And here's a similar type facility with DIN rail mounts.
Right, you can see on the left, those are all your expansion boards. The far left picture has all your expansion boards. The top of the left picture, top right, is your 825 board. And then, of course, on the IT cabinet, they have a picture of our AYK12C mini prox reader. That's our #1 selling reader. Very, very reliable reader. Very, very affordable. But this solution here is utilizing the DIN rail opportunity and buying only the PCB versus the cabinet itself.
Larry, you want to talk about software?
Sure. So the AxTraxNG is the software that's used for all of our access control products, from 2 doors to 1,023. Same software. Licensing, there is no charge for the software up to 256 readers. Now, when we say that, we do have to clarify that means reader ports available. Whether you're using, if you've got a bunch of 4-door panels, but you're only using 3 readers on each one, they all still count as 4 readers. So just keep that in mind. But up to 256 readers, the software is free, and then there is a one-time charge for a license to go above that comes in buckets like 1,000, 2,000, etc. No monthly fees, no recurring charges from us. Time zones, depending on the panel type, etc., it's 128 to 256 time zones, and with 16 segments each day. So, in other words, if I need to build a bunch of different schedules, let's say for a school, I can build my bell schedule in there with as many segments as I need, well, up to 16 per day, and I can have up to 256 different schedules if you want to try to manage something like that. All your user data is managed in here. It's one-stop shop. You can actually use it, and we see this in a few places, like for HOAs and such. But there's actually fields in the database under the user data to have things like addresses, email addresses, license tag numbers, etc. So you can actually do all of that all within the one software. It is truly a client-server architecture also, though. So, and when we say server, it does not have to be installed on a server machine. Just a standard desktop PC for a small system is more than sufficient. We do recommend you only use it for the access control, and so nobody is out browsing the web on it frequently, that sort of thing. That's just asking for trouble. But it is a client-server architecture, so you can have additional clients connecting back to that server. So you can have a client own somebody's desktop in HR so they can issue additional cards. You can have one at a guard station up front so he can keep an eye on what's going on in the system, that sort of thing. Some of the other features we've got here, car parking management. So it really is designed to manage a parking area with a gate, and you can manage an area, and you can have multiple areas defined, but you can manage multiple parking lots based on the number of vehicles in the parking lot. So when the lot's full, you don't let anybody else in. And yes, we can actually trip a relay to turn on a light or a sign to do that. But another use for this that's popped up here of late with the COVID emergency is this can also be used with any RFID reader. So it can be used to control access to an area to prevent, to limit the number of people allowed into a specific area at any given time. So just, again, something to think about. It's very easy to set up, and it's maybe an easy way to solve at least hopefully a temporary problem. Visitor management, we have a module in there where you can issue temporary cards, that sort of thing. Time and attendance, there's a built-in, very nice built-in report that does basic time and attendance tracking. The only thing it requires is you do have to define an entry and exit reader, at least one of each. You can have multiples, but you have to have at least one of each so they can tell when you enter and when you leave the premise in order to do the time and attendance. And it's very flexible. You can track total time, or you can actually drill down to detail of when they came and left for lunch, that sort of thing. Elevator control we've touched on, limited only by the hardware and meaning how many outputs and such you have available on which panel, but with an 825 that becomes almost unlimited as far as the number of floors, and you can put in a panel, as I said, per elevator. And you can control access to individual floors. So you build, in addition to your access groups where you control who can go where, when, you can also control who can go to which floors when with a separate group. So client over LAN or WAN, I've mentioned that. You can have up to 50 simultaneous clients at this point. I've never tried that or tested it, but that's what the engineering folks are saying now. Integration with Hikvision or DAWA. We have this running in the office. I've done it several times in the field now. It works very nice. What it allows you to do in the software is have a pop-up and or save a snapshot or video message on any access event or any alarm event. So if you have a door forced open, you can trigger it to grab a snapshot or a video clip of who forced the door open or who's holding it open. Likewise, you can just take a snapshot of people when they swipe their card and for verification later. You can also have that pop up, by the way, at a guard station again, so they can see who's coming in the door. You can actually have it pop both a photo that's on file, loaded in the software ahead of time, as well as the live picture, so they can literally do a quick matchup. Anti-passback. Used that on occasion here recently. But anti-passback just prevents somebody from re-entering an area if they haven't exited, or using the same card over and over again to get in. And it's very flexible. I can do it based on time, so you can't use the same card again for 10 minutes or 24 hours, or you entry and exit points, you can't read back in if you haven't read out. Badge printing is built in, supports pretty much any badge printer. Officially, it's Fargo, but I know in the field they're using it with most any badge printer. As long as it's set up as a default printer in Windows, proper drivers loaded, you're good to go. The man trap here, or door interlock, seeing that more and more with businesses that want to protect and want to be able to protect themselves from anybody rushing the door. So that prevents two doors from being open at the same time. You step in, the outside door closes, then you can enter the next door. I've done that frequently in a lot of marijuana dispensaries of late, also jewelry stores, any place with high value materials to protect. Email alerts we can set up. All we need is access to an SMTP server. Again, we can send email alerts on access events, alarm events, that sort of thing. Server Monitor is a tool that just runs down on the tray on your Windows desktop. It's mainly a tool we use to be able to see what's going on in the background. Custom Wiegand formats, won't go into that in much detail here, but suffice it to say, we have about 24 different formats we can work with. So if you're using our readers or HID's readers, it doesn't matter. We can support most any Wiegand output from a card. If one of those 24 doesn't work, I can develop or can build custom formats also. For our standard cards, be it the 125 kilohertz RFID cards, the CSN Select cards, we also have a desktop enrollment reader. That way you don't have to type in the long string of numbers and make mistakes. Event pop-ups, I've already kind of touched on. Swipe a card, it'll pop up and tell you what's going on. I can also do that for alarm events. I can have it throw a pop-up like on a guard station, something like that. And then AC links it's the way we can do a little bit of customization. And we can, in the simplest form is that's where we tie a schedule to a door to have it unlock on schedule. But we can do a lot more with it. We can redirect one reader to another door. We can set up toggles, where you have a unique code that you enter on a reader. It doesn't even have to be the reader for that door to trigger a door and things of that nature.
If I could jump in real quick on that, that's really in my mind, the beauty of this software, because not only is it free, but AC Links gives you a tool to make more money customizing the solution for your customer. So I know of dealers who charge thousands of dollars for quote unquote custom programming that takes them 10 minutes to create in AC Links. So it's if you're not utilizing this this tool for your customer, you're missing out on some revenue, and honestly, there's an opportunity for to better serve your customer at the same time. And this is again a free tool from us there on your AxTrax. I do want to also say Larry's got some subsequent sessions coming out that he's going to go into a lot of detail on AxTrax and the hardware too. So look for us next week and the week following at 2 o'clock Central on Tuesday. The same login information, and Larry will be taking us through in more detail on both the software and the hardware. Any questions so far on what we've covered? I'll take that as no. So this is some of our most popular readers. You'll see most of you familiar with it. These are older photographs of our readers. So you'll notice that most of them have a little bit different emblem up here. But the AYH12C, which is about the size of a deck of cards, most installs will either have that reader or our #1 selling reader, which is the AYK12C, this guy right here. It's a micromullion. I always encourage folks to use the MPK01 spacer here, particularly if you're going to install it on a metal surface. It just improves the read range. But all these readers are fully potted, indoor or outdoor. And of course, you got the full mullion reader here, the L12C. All three of these are really, really great readers and are workhorse readers. Lewis asked, why don't they include the MPK01 with the reader? And Lewis, I wish I knew. I have asked. It's just
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Greg. I was just
No.
thinking. I guess I'm thinking out loud because you and I are on the same page on this. That it should be included. But the funny thing is with that ring is it is not required on every installation. So it's a couple dollar item that I included on all of my estimates. But it's
Me too.
it's a couple dollar item, especially if you have a metal surface or a difficult surface to put it on. It gives you that little bit of cushion between the surface and the reader itself. For the cost of it, I recommend you do it just to eliminate, should you have any kind of an issue, just to eliminate that being part of the problem.
And Lewis has got a great deal. He buys them 10 at a time. Just I guess you keep them in your toolbox just and use them as needed.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a great idea. We also have convertible and standalone controllers as well. So they work as pin or prox. You can have up to 500 users when used as a controller. Of course, these are 125K Wiegand 26-bit across the top. These are you'll see a lot of these out in pull gates or sometimes tool sheds, those type of things. We also have, in the event that you are in a takeover situation, we have our GoProx line that works with HID. It's actually got genuine HID technology built into it. So anytime you see the GoProx logo, it'll work with our credentials as well as the HID 125K FSK credentials as well. Larry, anything you want to add on the standalones or convertibles?
Anything that says AYC is a convertible. All right, it's not a true standalone. Meaning, to use it by itself, you've got to pair it with our PS25T power supply. That causes a lot of confusion in the field from time to time. But it does work very well that way. It's more secure in a lot of ways because the lock wiring and everything is terminated inside the building in that PS25T power supply box. You can get outside, cut the cable, play with the wires all day. You're not going to unlock the door like you would with a real standalone. Many of you know we've got the AC 44 and 43 that look just like the AYC 54 and 64 up here in the top right, and as well as the one at the bottom left in the Q series. Those are true standalones, a power supply, the keypad, and a lock, and you're good to go. But if anybody pulls it off the wall, they've got direct access to your lock. And obviously, if it's a mag lock, they cut the cord, the door is open. So the convertibles are more secure. They program the same way and actually work very well. So.
I actually call our convertibles a gateway drug because inevitably, like Dave mentioned earlier when he's talking about our controllers, when you start off with one reader and are controlling one door, the reality is 2 weeks later, the manager or the building owner is going to call you back and say, hey, let's add some more doors. In the convertible space, all you do is simply disconnect it from the power supply, and it's got a Wiegand cable, and you just wire it directly into the controller and reuse the same reader. You don't have to replace that reader. Whereas if it was a true standalone, you'd have to replace that and put in a different reader. So your convertible readers are not only more secure, but a great, it's a more flexible solution as your customers' needs change. We have Dave. You want to cover the CSN Smart?
Sure. So we have a variety of readers called the CSN readers. These readers are capable of reading 9 different types of credentials, smart card credentials. In addition to these readers, they are 1356 MyFair. They are not EM. So keeping that in mind, should you be wishing to add these to an existing system, you want to be careful that if you do add these and you're not going to utilize the Bluetooth, which I'll talk about in a second, if you're using this simply as a one of our Shark's Tooth credentials or cards, MyFair cards, you're going to put the customer in a position where they're going to have two different types of credentials on the same system. So keep in mind, if you're adding these systems, they are indeed MyFair, and they cannot be purchased as an EM product. With that said, what makes these also very unique is we have the Bluetooth technology. And with the Bluetooth technology, it's a downloadable app. Right now it's free. There's been some fluctuations in whether it's free or not. We've constantly have internal conversations on it because we've seen it a couple different ways. But by downloading the app, you're allowed to, it gives you the ability to operate these readers from your cell phone. It also has NFC capabilities, near field communications for the Droid products. So with the iOS, you can utilize the Bluetooth. With the Droid, you can utilize either the Bluetooth or the NFC technologies. Very easy to operate. I think, Greg, the next slide does cover Bluetooth. Am I correct? Oh, I'm sorry.
Soon. Yeah.
So we'll get to the Bluetooth in a minute here. But it is a nice solution for your customer. The reader is both prox and keypad prox, and it is potted, so it can be used indoor or outdoors.
And here is our line of biometric readers. We have 3 that we have available right now. They have 20,000 fingerprint templates up to 10,000 users. They support Wigan 26 and 34-bit. The first one you see here on the left is a fingerprint reader. It'll work with both an RFID card, your fingerprint, and Bluetooth. The second one, the 9250, does fingerprint, our Bluetooth app, and an RFID card. You can also tie it in with a camera. And Larry, how you want to explain how the camera would?
Well, currently the camera is only functional right now with the in the standalone configuration with the Bio 8000 software.
I see.
It's coming to the AxTraxNG.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, the goal is to be able to put a message up there. Right now, we can put a static message in it. Ultimately, we'll be able to put a message in the display there, a text message, as well as being able to grab a snapshot of whoever's swiping their card or that sort of thing. And then the function keys right now, again, are just for programming, but ultimately they could be like a call button for apartment 1, 2, 3, or 4, let's say, or something along those lines.
Gotcha. And then our 9350 is facial recognition. So it's got 4 levels of authentication. You can do RFID card, fingerprint, Bluetooth, and facial recognition. The cameras you see right down here, surrounded by the LED bar, is actually on the gimbal, so it will automatically aim up and down as someone approaches to be able to get a great shot of their face. With any type of video you want to give yourself the best chance for success by mounting it in a area with some good lighting that you don't have a flickering fluorescent light, excuse me, in the background. You don't want it to look like a Saw movie or a horror movie. You want to have some good clean lighting, but this is a great resource for those of you who need excuse me, for those who need a biometric solution. And then over here on the far right is our desktop reader for our Bio 9000, so you can roll fingerprints there as you're onboarding employees and so forth. Gate automation. Dave, you want to cover that?
Sure. So we have a variety of long-range products, the AYU 915 and the AYU 920. These are very, very reliable products, fantastic sellers because they're a Wigan reader, 26-bit out of the box. They create a very nice solution for your customer that needs gate control. The biggest thing to remember with these is they come with their own field adjustable You can field adjust these with your Bluetooth app, but they come with their own power supply. And because they're a Wiegand reader, as Greg had mentioned earlier in the presentation, these can be used on any Wiegand system. I have a lot of these installed, not just on Rosslare systems, but other applications as well. Very popular in the New York area, very popular in Florida at marinas, condominiums. It comes with a mounting bracket that you can pole mount it or wall mount it. It works as a reader, so if you put this on the system, it will occupy a reader port. What's great about this is you have a couple different ways of activating it. As mentioned, you can use your Bluetooth, but you also have a UHF card. You can do a UHF sticker on the windshield, or you can do a UHF hard tag. We do have a guide as to where to place the stickers, because it's important to remember your higher end cars that have rain sensing wipers have lead in the windshield. That's how they activate the wiper from moisture. So in some cases, the leaded glass is less dense in certain areas. So if you are going with the UHF label or sticker, we have two types of those. One's tamper-proof and one is non-tamper-proof. Keep in mind that you want to place that sticker in an area that it's going to get its best read. And like I said, I have a complete chart as to where you place them on the windshield. But this product is a very, very affordable product. If you want to compare it to AWID or NEDAP, there's no comparison. If you look at the read range on there, you're seeing 39 feet for the 920, 19 feet for the 915. This product really has a reliability factor it's a moneymaker for you. Like I said, the initial cost is very low. The reliability is very high.
And another thing, you know, some of our competitors require you to buy a separate aiming kit, and we have LEDs and a piezo built in, so you don't have to buy a separate aiming kit when you install it.
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct.
We also have a RF solution as well, the L23, which is this is actually a receiver, not actually a reader, but it looks a lot like our reader with the same format, but it comes with a 2-button and a 4-button fob. Range is up to 230 feet, so again, perfect for a parking lot or a gate situation. It actually has 2 pigtails off the back, so you can control 2 separate doors or 2 separate gates with the 1 receiver. In the 2-button fob configuration, you can have door 1 and door 2. Some cost savings there. We do have a 4-button fob option, and that will only work in a 1-door scenario, if I'm remembering this correctly, Larry. So you can control the door with your button 1. Buttons 2, 3, and 4 can be used to fire outputs. Am I correct, Larry?
Yeah, the 4-button remote. What's different between the two, and it even confuses me, I get it wrong sometimes. The 2-button, button 1 is always going to output on the A channel, button 2 is going to output on the B channel. So you can have an in and out on a gate, or you can have one of 2 doors, whatever you want to do. The 4-button is always going to output whatever code on the A channel only, but you have 4 different codes as you select the buttons. So again, with AC links in the background, I can control up to 4 different operations. I can open, you know, one of 4 doors or 4 gates or whatever. It takes a little more setup in the background to do it is all. So
we actually have one of these installed at a customer's house in Chicago. He's a high net worth individual, and he likes to leave his garage and be up to speed when he hits his gate at the front entrance of the property. So he wants to be able to fly through that gate like Batman does out of the Batcave. So when he gets in his car, he hits his button, and by the time he gets to the bottom of the driveway, the gate's open and he's at road speed, whatever that is for that particular day. So, but there's all different ways you can be creative and meet that need for your customer. And again, the L23 is fully potted, so you can use it on indoor or outdoor.
And once again, guys, this will occupy a reader port on your panel.
Right.
Just because this is receiver only, it's still going to occupy a reader port.
Yeah, your fobs literally output Wiegand code, 26-bit Wiegand codes, just like another card. So You assign them to users, you can revoke them. If somebody loses a fob, you just go disable that code. It can't be used anymore, but it is just another credential type. So keep that in mind. Makes it very flexible.
So as Larry talked about earlier when he was talking about AxTrax, we do have a add-on product. This is a premium product, so it is purchased, and I'll go through the purchasing options. But with the Hikvision and Dowel, you can integrate directly with that, and you have a pop-up. So not only do you get a pop-up of the individual whose card is presented, but you can get a pop-up of that transaction, either a still shot or a short video. We get a copy of the video, and that video is stored on the AxTraxNG software. The original, the native video file remains on the NVR, but it gives you additional layer of security, particularly if you have a guard or someone that's monitoring that, or if you want to go back and look at a particular transaction, who was it that actually accessed that door or that cabinet at that particular time. We sell them in buckets of cameras. So if you see over here on the right, you get the part numbers for the different buckets of cameras. You can start at 2 cameras, 1 NVR, go up to unlimited channels or unlimited cameras with 12 NVR. So you only buy what you need. It's a very affordable add-on. In the world as we know it today, like I said, Hikvision and Dowel are the 2 solutions. At some point, I'd like to have some others, but this is what we have to work with at this particular time.
Guys, this is a one-time fee too. This is
Great point.
this is not an annual or a monthly fee back to your customers. This is a one-time fee, and I have this set up on my demo kit, and 2 years ago is when I activated it with the license, and it's worked flawlessly every time since. I set up my demo, whether I'm at a distributor or at a local integrator, and I'd be more than happy to do it with you guys. But it's something, it's definitely worth, if this is in line with what you're looking for, this is a product, once again, that you can make some revenue on.
And just to give you an idea, his demo kit does not have an NVR in it. He's actually linking back to the office to get to the NVR. So it's a very flexible product, is my point there. It doesn't, the NVR doesn't even have to be local to set it up and use it. So
good point. Good point.
So as far as credentials, Rosslare's got you covered. In fact, is in our full catalog, I think we've got 7 or 8 pages with about 40 different part numbers on each page with different credential families, and our credential options. And rather than go through all of our credential options, I've got some of our highlights here that we can at least show you what's available. We have our ring tags mount on your keychain. This is actually one of our more popular fobs. It's got the best read range because it's got the most copper in the rings. You also have the twisted tag that is very what's the word I'm looking for? It's
ergonomic.
Ergonomic. That's what I was looking for.
Especially
ergonomic.
For those of you in the north with gloves on, you can hold on to this a lot easier. Exactly.
And then our famous shark's tooth that works with our MyFair and CSN Select readers. This guy here, real popular with our MyFair. And then we have traditional cards as well. We have a UHF credential for our AYU 915 and 920s, our MyFair credential, our ISO styled 125K prox card, and this is actually a misprint. It should have a clamshell card here, but we do have clamshell and ISO styled printable cards is available as well. We, as Dave mentioned earlier, we have apps available, and these are Bluetooth apps. It's not management apps, but these are Bluetooth apps for utilizing our Bluetooth readers. It's touch-free operation, which is real important nowadays. It's available on Android or iOS. The BLE for the Android not only has the Bluetooth function, but it's got the NFC function built in. iOS has not opened that up for us yet, but on the Android, NFC is available. The range on that is 39 feet. The engineers say. We've actually seen it quite longer. And Dave and I have tried it in a warehouse full of mezzanine shelves and still got solid 30-35 feet, I think, out of it. So it's pretty powerful read range. Each credential is unique to the device. So when you install it, it utilizes the MAC address of your phone and creates a virtual credential based on that information. Those apps are free. The BLE ID apps are free in the App Store. Those are the ones for your customers. The ones that you would need to configure the reader is the BLE admin. There is a charge for those apps. It's a one-time fee that you'd use for your phone, but that's what you use to configure the reader when you set it up. You name it, you put in the password, all that kind of stuff. There are certain features you can change with the Bluetooth readers. For example, with the the 915 and 920, you can change the read rate, the read range. There's several functions that you can actually customize for that particular reader through the Bluetooth or the BLE admin app. Dave, you want to talk about switches?
Yeah, so we have a variety of what's called Red Dot certified, Red Dot award-winning request to exit buttons. As you see, we have two different styles there. We have the square single gang and we have the mullion style. These are very, very nice. We also have them in the passive where you just wave your hand in front of them. We don't have any of those pictured here. But they have up to 2 amp switching current. The thing to remember with the request to exit buttons is you need to make sure that you order them with the appropriate labeling on them. I did have a customer that ordered a bunch without the labeling on it, and he failed inspection by his fault, no fault, but he just didn't pay attention to what he was doing. Things happen. But you do have to make sure when you do order these, they are brushed aluminum and the lettering is engraved into the surface of the metal. Very durable, very reliable product. And once again, as I like to say, very affordable. And it's going to allow you to always just stay one step ahead of the competition when it comes to quoting these.
Possibly one of our, if I'd say two things that people don't know about Rosslare that we make, then we make an exceptional quality product, is our switches and our mag locks. We have 3 levels of mag locks: a 1,200 pound, 600 pound, and 300 pound. Both have the mounting brackets. It's a very affordable product. Installers like them because of the way that the screw terminals is mounted, the mounting terminals. So it's a face forward mounting as opposed to having to slide it across. Makes it easier to install. Larry, you told me something about that the other day, and I cannot remember. Something about the LED switch on, or the LED light on there. I'm trying to remember.
The LED light on the
mag locks.
On the mag locks?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what it was about that.
Well, I mean, there's the light on the light in the mag lock itself just shows when you do and don't have power to it. But also there's a now I'm drawing a blank. You do have a lock sensor in there that'll show. I'm sorry, I just lied. The LED will show red or green depending if, when power is applied, if the armature is not making good contact and able to hold the door, it'll shine red until it does, and then it'll turn green.
Right.
That's what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Sorry, you caught me asleep again.
I apologize.
But it does have a sensor. It also has outputs off of that you can run back to the panel and use as your door monitor. So again, you can tell if a door is held open or forced open back at the panel with the same sensor. So
great. And guys, that's it. Is anybody else have any other questions? Feel free to chime in or put them in the chat right there. I've got Dave, Larry, and my contact information here, so feel free to reach out to any of us with your questions. Like I said, Dave is east of the Mississippi. I am west of the Mississippi. Diane is the general manager. She's typically in our South Lake office. With the COVID thing, she's working all parts unknown, but you can certainly reach her there at the office or via email. And Larry and his crack team of technical support guys are available. Either, as we know today, leave a message or shoot an email. And Lord willing, soon we'll be